The next question, we're going to continue with one more question pertaining to fiscal policy, and this one pertains to the budget process. You know, I think everybody in the Commonwealth was pretty distressed during the past several years by the length of time it took to pass a budget. What steps will you take to advocate and implement a timely, efficient, and effective budget process that doesn't rely on balancing the bottom line with one-time policy decisions? And Frank, the question is to you.
I've got 21 years of corporate management experience. Bottom line, profit and loss. We do it every month, 12 times a year. I cannot submit a budget that has red ink on the bottom. Yet Harrisburg does it routinely. I project capital requests, which means, do you need new vehicles? Do you need to expand your building? Why is Harrisburg removed from the same situation that businesses and families are? Why? Because we don't hold them accountable. My company is growing, 58th fastest growing company in America. We just acquired another business unit in Kingston, Pennsylvania, $1.2 million worth of sales, 6 employees, 5 trucks. I've got to integrate that into my budget. And when I submit that budget, if I have, once again, red ink like Harrisburg does, it's getting kicked back to me and they're saying, Frank, do it over, do it again. Why don't we do that to Harrisburg? If Harrisburg can't balance their budget, then they need to slow the rate of growth. It's a nice way for saying cut. So, in Harrisburg, the budget. We start early and we set down priorities, because when you go through that budget, like I do at Keystone Automotive and like I did on the old Ford School Board, we have to make sure that every dollar we're spending isn't duplicated, isn't redundant, isn't wasted, doesn't go to a level of bureaucracy that's unnecessary, because we can no longer afford it. Maybe at 20 billion, 10% overage, 10%, not now, 29 billion, we're at the end. So will it be a challenge? Absolutely. Can it be done? We put a man on the moon, we could balance our budget and stop the spending.
Thank you. John, the same question to you.
Well, we have a constitutional obligation to present a balanced budget. I actually have witnessed the distaste as a taxpayer and as a citizen in the process that has been undertaken in Harrisburg to arrive at that balanced budget. I have seen the one-time fixes that they have chosen to use, and I think it's demonstrated a failed leadership and a lack of courage to make the right decisions and the tougher decisions and to push things off beyond an election cycle. I can give you some specific examples where they reached into the Tobacco Settlement Investment Board to pull money to balance the budget, where they reached into a machinery and equipment loan fund that provides small businesses loans to balance the budget. One of the more egregious circumstances where they leased public lands for drilling. As a matter of course, to balance the budget. I have found a lot of distaste with this kind of conduct in the General Assembly. I don't think legislators should get paid if they don't get the budget done on time. I think that would put a little, maybe a little spice in the works. I think that there needs to be greater transparency and accountability in the budget process. I agree with my opponent that it should start early. There should be adequate discourse on the decisions. There should be an adequate education of the taxpayers about the choices that we face in order for legislators to be held accountable to the policies that they advance on the floor of the Senate or the House. But I think that what we've seen too often in Harrisburg is decisions being made for political expediency and not for the long-term sustainable public good of the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Frank, you have a minute to rebut, and I would ask you also to address the issue of timeliness of the budget.
Well, we currently have one of the judges hearing the case on MCARE. They rated the medical malpractice catastrophic fund, MCARE, for $850 million. Timeliness, you know, this year we passed the budget on time. And how did we pass the budget? We rated MCARE. It is, and I like John. I'm not going to call John my opponent. He's John. John, I like the idea of not paying legislators. How about that? You don't produce, We hold up your pay if it's not timely. How close am I on that minute? You know what? We have to get the budget passed. Last time it wasn't passed, it hurt families, it hurt state employees. So I would start early, make sure they knew that the priorities, what they were, and then really have to, listen, you have to get tough. You might need the hammer.